Are we recording?
Yeah, of course.
What happened? Oh, what podcast is
Pulling the
this?
Thread podcast, episode 85.
85.
What is it?
83? No, 92. 61? 47. 8. Oh,
88.
Podcast 8.
Pulling the
Wow.
pulling the podcast.
I feel like we've done so many more than that.
I can't even talk. Pulling the Thread podcast 88. It's this fucking microphone.
I think it's a soundboard.
Stomps all over.
We need a sound guy, really what we need. I mean, we got a good video guy, but our sound guy,
We should get the fluffer.
I mean, eventually.
He didn't know what a fluffer was. He's like, yeah, I'm a fluffer.
Who?
Isaac.
You're a fluffer? Oh, Isaac? Yeah. I bet he is a fluffer.
Man, he does things so fucking hard. I literally have to tell Cody, I'm like, hey, get that big pallet of shit out of the driveway, put it in the back of my truck. Use Isaac. But if you think Isaac can't do it, skip Isaac and grab Sky. And he always defaults to Isaac.
Well, that's because they're pals.
And he's like, holy shit, that dude makes things so hard. I'm like, yeah, you should have seen him moving the rabbit tractors, right? They have a lid on the top that lifts up, right? It's on hinges. So Sky's got the rabbit tractor 3 feet up in the air. Isaac's holding it by the steel, the sharp part, trying to lift it by the lid. I'm like, dude, how did you make it to 22 years old?
I don't know how anybody makes it to 22 anymore.
I don't know, man. Calibration is very different.
So what's exciting? What's going on?
Dolphins. Tell me your cow story.
No, I see dolphins.
So my friend Chuck Peoples, our friend Chuck Peoples, is in town, and he's staying at the hotel, and he goes out to Ruck, and he almost had a Rambo situation this morning. Like they're going to put him in the car and take him to the edge of the bridge.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What are you doing?"
That would actually have been so awesome. Like, you know what? Honestly,
That's what I said. I go, you should have pulled out the Rambo lines.
If I was a police officer, imagine you're in New Johnsonville. You're in this small.
But these cops are so young now; they don't even know what Rambo is.
You're in a small town where nothing happens. Nothing ever happens, and you're bored. And you see some dude walking. First off, nobody walks in Tennessee.
He wasn't walking either. He was briskly walking with a rucksack.
And you see some dude walking with a rucksack, which is close to a sea bag. I literally would, again, this is why I'm not a police officer. I literally would have looked over at my buddy and been like, "Hey, you remember Rambo? Let's give this guy a ride out of town."
Well, Yeager said,
I pulled all the lines.
James said when he was policing, when they would have vagrants and homeless come through town, they would pick them up and take them to the next county, and another cop would pick them up, and they'd move them all the way to the interstate and put them out at the interstate.
Okay, so Waverly, Tennessee had a homeless woman.
We have a crazy one.
In a wheelchair. Well, yours is different. Yours is the actual crazy one. We had a homeless lady, and what they do in Waverly is the police department just contacts the church. And then the church sent a bunch of people out. They're like, "How come you're homeless? What's going on? Where are you from?" What? And they found her family and had her shipped home.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kills two birds with one stone.
Yeah, and you don't have to involve the police. I mean, it's kind of, you got to be careful when you're sicking your church people on homeless, because sometimes the homeless are crazy and have hatchets.
It's probably a little more acceptable, though. Like, they're not going to sue the church, but they're definitely going to sue the police department.
Maybe.
That's probably smart of the fucking sheriff there, man.
Yeah.
That's smart.
I think he just doesn't want to deal with it.
So they're like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm walking down the road." "Why?" "For exercise." Here comes another cop. Fucking, "What are you doing?" "Walking down the road." "Why?" "Exercise." "How many times are we going to answer this?" So a sheriff shows up. "What's going on, guys?" He goes, "Apparently it's fucking illegal to walk down the road here and exercise. I'm just rucking." And the sheriff, knew, he must have heard the radio calls or something.
Probably.
He knew something was up, and he's like, "Hey, sir, you're free to go. Sorry." And fucking went and talked to schooled the two cops, I guess.
That's the thing about.
And one of the cops like, "Mystery Ranch, huh?" He's like, "Yeah, mystery." I go, "He's just mad. He was just upset. He wanted you to talk to him. Like he wanted to know about your backpack."
That's the one of the things about this strip. So this part of the 70
is the way, yeah.
Yeah, but this part of the 70 is.
Just imagine how busy they're going to be because they're about to 5-lane this month.
You have all. Well, what I'm saying is, whenever there's a call, because most of these municipalities only have one or two deputies on at a time.
Yeah, they assist.
Whenever they call, they call everybody.
Did you see? Were you there when Hugo worked for us?
Yeah.
Do you remember when so he got caught driving while smoking weed or whatever, and this female trooper stops him, and all calls, like emergency, all call, and she wouldn't get out, so she had him pulled over, like right in front of the shop over here. I thought it was you. We go walking out there to see what's going on, and there's 2 fish and game trucks, and there's this fucking female, and she's still in the car. I'm like, what's going on?
I do think I remember.
I go, what's going on, guys? That's my guy. Can I have my guy? He's like, we would totally give him to you. But she called officer threatened an assistance or something, and it went out, and there's a lot of cops on the way here. I go, look, he just went home for lunch. He's whatever's going on. Do we know why she stopped him? And he goes, we don't. She still won't get out of the car till more officers show up. I go, is this a common thing? He goes, it is with her. I'm like, how in the fuck is she a fucking police officer then? And she's the trooper. She's a fucking trooper. So you got 1 trooper car, 2 fish and game, and my guy in his fucking broke ass hoopty with 3 different size tires on it.
That's the Marines carrying the female Marines rucksack. It's a DEI hire.
And she had told him that she thought he was gang affiliated, because he's Mexican.
Right.
He doesn't have, he has no tattoos. Fucking, I mean, he had, some bullshit tattoos, maybe on his arm or something, but not, on his head or face or neck or nothing.
I wonder what he said to her.
I don't think he said shit to her. He never got a chance. She pulled him over, and she never fucking engaged him. And they ended up arresting him for, I don't know what they arrested him on, driving suspended or some shit. And we had him out of jail 45 minutes later, fucking retarded. So the cow story. Tell your cow story.
Oh, it's that connection to the law enforcement. After the big flood it was a good
couple years ago.
Few years ago, but it was a couple of weeks after the flood. I'm driving down this road where it's basically river on one side, real river on one side, and cliffs on the other side. And there's this fucking cow in the middle of the road that is emaciated. Definitely needs to be fed.
Is this a finder keeper situation? When you find a cow, you get to keep it.
I think there was after the flood. I think there was a lot of finders keepers, but they attempt to find out whose it is.
How the fuck do you?
It was literally
I
people
would think they're chipping them or something.
Anyway, so this cow's in this little gully off the side with a calf, and so I call the sheriff's department and I'm like, hey, there's cows in the middle of the road. Somebody's going to come hit, because that's the big thing.
Oh yeah, dude.
Somebody's going to hit the cow.
You. Yeah.
And I go, and it looks like it's been here for a while, and so I'm just sitting there on the side of the road with this cow, and a dude drives by and he's like, cow looks like it's been here for a while. I'll bet that. And then he starts listing off people who it probably belongs to.
This cow.
Yeah, people know, but it's weird. There was no the cow wasn't tagged either, and that was one of the things that the guy was saying was like, yeah, that's so and so. He never tags any of his cow. Blah blah blah. Right. So the sheriff shows up and by this time the cow has gone into the gully. So you can't see cow from
trying to suicide itself.
Yeah, from the street, and cow's in the gully. It's in the bushes. It's in there, and so the sheriff shows up and he's like, "Where's it at?" I go, "Oh, it's down here. It goes down. There's a little spot down here where I think it's been this whole time." And he's like, "Well, show me." And it's just starting to get dark. And I'm like, okay, we better bring
you're here, I can leave.
We better get your flashlight. So we go down there, and
he didn't have a fucking flashlight with him.
No, he had it, but we go down there and we're searching around for this cow and finally find it. And he's in his uniform,
his clean,
uniform, and we're breaking brush. I'm like, we're breaking brush, and I'm like, shit. So we go in there, we find the cow. He's like, okay, I'm gonna get somebody. And he calls this guy who has a trailer, and dude shows up it's probably 8:30 at night. And so we've just been out there babysitting this cow, and they're able to get the calf, but they can't get the mother to go in, and it's super dark. And so the guy's like, the guy with the trailer's like, I know whose cow this is. It's blow, because he never tags his cows. And he's like, I think I'll just keep it and put it in my herd. And the sheriff's like, I don't care, whatever, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I want to go home.
Yeah, this thing drowned in the flood. I'm sure he already collected insurance on the motherfucker. And so he's like, I'll come back and get the other one in the morning. And so he leaves, and then, we're leaving, and I look at the deputy and I'm like, fuck. I go, man, dude, I am sorry you've been out here fucking with this cow this whole time. Like, I am sure that you have real police work to do and you're out here with this cow. He's like, oh, no, it's always cows.
It's always cows.
It's always cows.
You need to move someplace where it's always bears.
Which, I mean, they've had some excitement. Like, Waverly had a full-on shootout right in downtown.
More than one.
Cartel guys blasting them in the...
Cartel guys, that's interesting. Why cartel? What are they doing here?
Well, because this is
the thorough way.
Yeah, this is the artery. You got to come. Yeah. You have to come this way on the 40 or 70 to get to all the hot spots.
Yeah, because once you get guys that don't know, like this used to be kind of like old rural Route 66. This was 69, and now it's 70. So you can do the interstate, but if you don't want to do the interstate, this is the way. Yeah. And a lot of times, if you have major construction. Or, a massive accident or something, truck turnover, this is how they route you. Yeah. So
through the 70.
They're trying to avoid the interdiction guys, and they come this way. And I guess if you get in a shootout, you'd probably rather get in a shootout with local law enforcement. Well, not Waverly. Those guys ain't fucking around.
They fucked them up.
You would think you'd want to get small town shootout rather than interdiction, because interdiction has that's task force, and they've got real shit.
Well, small town too is. Small town, too, you think is also easier to manipulate with cash.
You should probably cut that out.
Cut that out.
Cut that out there. Okay, so the cow, the thing I've been seeing today, and I saw 3 posts randomly over, first thing this morning I saw one, and then later, and then right before you got here, dolphins.
Rescuing dolphins.
I'm like, where are they getting these fucking dolphins? So it's got to be Florida, right? Because there's a place called Cookville, because we have a Cookville. I'm like, Brandel, you guys have dolphins? And it's got to be the Florida. That's got to be the county they're in, where the SeaWorld was. And these fucking dolphins have their level raised, and they're out swimming. And there's an Amish farmer, looks like that kid Ethan that worked for us. Good dude. I hope he's doing well if you're listening to this, Ethan. And there's this Amish farmer out in the field holding a baby dolphin. And then later on, I see one, and they've got this big ass aquarium on a flatbed, like on a semi truck, and it's got a dolphin. I go, is that a fucking dolphin? What the fuck's going on, man? If I found a dolphin out here, you're never getting that motherfucker back. We're
digging a tank.
Yeah, we're gonna just drive around with the dolphin.
Dolphin in the tank.
Yep.
I've seen the one I saw this morning was people rescuing sea turtles. Sea turtles way inland.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I've seen a video. It wasn't this storm, but I've seen a video of previous storms down in Florida where there's sharks going down the road.
Yeah, I saw sharks. Yeah, I saw sharks.
Sharks.
So are you aware of any of the floods? Are you up to date on what's going on?
Well, I'm up to date on the fact that the U.S. federal government can't do a goddamn thing for.
It's not doing shit, dude.
It can't do a goddamn thing for any of those states. And not only are they not, the crazy thing is not only are they not doing shit for any of those states because your current government, your current Democrat government sucks, is also talking shit about Trump, who's taking supplies down there.
Yeah, Bob's taking supplies. Bob took supplies into North Carolina. Bears guys are chopped into East Tennessee, and they're actually on kind of it sounded like almost like task force type deal. But they're able to basically just tell FEMA fuck off, because FEMA is usually, when those guys go in and they deploy, they come in with semi trucks, and it's all volunteer force. They have a whole call out on this email. Hey, we're about to deploy Grindstone Ministries. That's that thing we went up to. I wanted to see what it really was, in Kentucky when the tornadoes hit. And dude, fucking the whole time I was there, semi-trucks just bringing in fucking semi-trucks full of lumber and equipment and dozers and bobcat. It's impressive to see.
Yeah, we gave old Zelensky $2.4 billion.
Yes, but not doing shit, dude.
Can't do anything.
Not doing a fucking thing for these people.
It's not. The reality is you have a government that is currently run in chaos because she is not the president. And the president doesn't exist.
Well, they grounded, so all these dudes have shown up with aircraft. And people are losing their minds over all this aircraft that are dropping stuff to people on mountaintops. Like, these people pulled 200 people out of a school, right? Fucking harnessed them out of these fucking, with these helicopters and shit. Just like they were doing over here in Waverly with that little Robinson. Yeah. And they're giving them shit. They're giving them shit about fucking flying these birds. And then they had a fucking full ITAR shut down because POTUS was supposed to be somewhere in the air observing.
Right.
Never showed up for a conference, no photos, nothing. But they fucking grounded all these aircraft. And then this morning I saw a chick, she's like, that right there is North Carolina. The wind is blowing this way. You can smell the dead bodies. Like they're like nothing's coming in or out of here. There's no assistance. There's fucking bodies on the ground. They're saying they're reporting over 1,000 missing as of right now. Now they'll connect some of those probably. Right. But dude, it's horrific.
Yeah.
It is absolutely fucking horrific.
And they're doing nothing.
No, it's seemingly they're doing nothing. Luckily, people are doing something, but not.
Yeah, no, it's all independent of the fucking federal government.
Dude, there are complete fucking towns that are raised off, and miraculously, coincidentally, they had just applied. There's a lithium mine right there, and they had applied to expand it, and all of the fucking residents were very like 100% not. They're against this, signing, getting all their votes and shit. Gone. Whole town fucking no longer exists. And then they were applying for another one, 10, 15 miles away. That town's gone too now. Fucking nothing. Like gone.
I mean, I highly doubt the lithium mine guys created the storm.
But I mean, who knows, man? I mean, we were creating storms during Vietnam. Did we not get better at it? This is very Maui-ish.
I know, but we're not well, the difference between that is the difference between Maui and this is it's easy to control a laser. It's hard to control a storm.
Do you know I saw a fucking maybe 1,000 brand new blue FEMA tarps.
Where?
At the place you like to go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're nice. Big. Amanda's like, I know where you can get some blue because I needed those 2 package tarps, right? I'm retarping all the dog runs, and you can't get them. Like Costco doesn't have them, Sam's Club doesn't have them. They don't exist. So I'm like, I'll try some Tractor Supply tarps. And all along we've been using they claim it's an 8 mil tarp, but it's probably closer to 5. But I bought some 10s from Tractor Supply. I'm like, man, these are way heavier tarps. These are pretty decent. So I've got black ones out here now. Amanda's like, oh, I know where we can get some blue ones. I go, where? She goes, FEMA tarps. And I go, how big are they? She goes, they were 100 by 40. Like, dude, they're big.
Yeah.
We should buy, and they're not expensive either. They're brand new, still wrapped up. We could have a whole what are those things you like? Tri-walls?
You could cover the roof on this place so you don't get laser beamed.
That's right. We could get enough. We could tarp the whole property.
Do you know the problem? You know the problem with that is though. The problem with the idea of the laser is so all you're talking about is spectral light.
They can change the color.
They just change the color.
Did you see Oprah's in some trouble?
Why? What did Oprah do?
Oh, Oprah. Seemingly
was she providing underage children to P. Diddy too?
And Weinstein, yes. She's actually, her name keeps coming up everywhere. Man.
Of course.
And there are some very prominent people blasting her very fucking openly.
Do you know the thing that I just saw? Now hold
on. Coffee?
No, of course not. But I haven't got my sponsor check this month, so I'm just.
Oh, so you've taken it out of the bottle. Is that the Hobbit?
No, that's Ryan. That's my man. It's my man crush, Ryan Gosling. Look at him.
Who is Ryan Gosling?
Oh my God, who is Ryan?
Was he Spider-Man?
You might as well ask who's the Pope. Who's
the
president?
That's a good question because there's 3 popes. Maybe you're not aware.
Might as well. What were we talking about before we got on Ryan?
Ryan Gosling.
Now I'm thinking about all the movies. Tarps. Oh yeah, they just changed the frequency. But
Oprah.
Yeah, no. You said something last week. You said something last week. I tend to default.
Did you not read my shirt? Read
Which
it.
One?
Say it out loud.
Realist facts aren't the
theories. Facts aren't theories.
I can't see through the microphone.
Conspiracy facts.
Well, no, you said something last week where you were like, maybe the federal government needs to get in there and get rid of all the evidence of federal government. And then I saw.
Apparently, that's what's happening in Maui.
Don't think federal government. I mean, think federal government, but don't think FBI is worried about FBI. Think kind of what we talk about all the time around here is how much blackmail. The FBI is notorious for blackmailing people.
Sure.
That's what J. Edgar Hoover set up. He set up an organization to blackmail people That is the reason why he was in power as long as he was. And so to think that the FBI, from a political perspective, I'm not talking about the regular agent who's holding a file folder, but from a political perspective, you're not going to change your business model. You're not going to change the business model that worked for Hoover all those years. So I just saw this thing. They're talking about get in and erase those tapes immediately, because you know who was a big fan of P. Diddy's? You know who hung out with P. Diddy? Obama.
Yeah, I saw I saw
Obama.
Yeah.
Obama had gone to Diddy's place several times. So from a federal government perspective, that's another, you want those tapes, right? If you're the director of the FBI, you want those tapes. Just like the Secret Service is holding on to the tapes of the murder that was committed on his house
on his chef.
Yeah.
Where Mike Obama drowned him out there in the 4 foot of water.
Yep.
That's wild.
Well, that's because that's how you keep them under control, right? You keep them doing what you want them to do, is by having that evidence, because you know how it works, right? It would work this way. This is exactly how it worked. The head of the Secret Service or whoever, maybe even just the FBI, would be like, hey, don't worry, sir. We have the tapes. You're safe. We're going to take care of you.
Yeah.
And at the
You're not
moment,
cutting our budget.
right? At the moment when you're walking your dog down the street with your black eye and your hands cut up, you're like, fuck, they saved me. They saved me. And then they come to you in the middle of the night and go, Joe's not going to make it. We need you to go on the campaign trail for a woman that you fucking despise. And you're like, what? I don't want to do that.
We have the tapes, sir.
They don't even do that. They send the same agent. It's the agent that told you, and you're like, really, I think that's what you need to do. And he's going to do it.
Did you see Trump say, so somebody briefed Trump.
Mm-hmm.
There's some theories as to who that is. But said, hey, there's 7-man packable rocket systems, surface-to-air missiles. I guess what are Stingers, missiles or rockets? And I was listening to this S2 Underground, good channel. And he's like, those are really for helicopters or airplanes landing or taking off, not really in flight. But there's 7 of them. Matt Gaetz said there's 7 individual hit teams going after Trump in the United States. Iran is funding this. Of course, they've attached Iran to this.
Yes, because we're picking a fight with them.
Yeah, and then right on the other side of the Mexican border, I don't know when this was on the 28th, they found RPGs, a cache of RPGs, I don't know how many, and military explosives, as though they were staged to come across the border into the United States also.
I mean...
But RPGs are in the United States, like the cartel shit.
Well, I mean, the reality is we know a place where there's RPGs, mortars, artillery. I mean...
Where?
Just here, and one in Paris and one in.
Oh, gotcha.
We know where these items
those are all
here,
legal shit
that are here legally, right? Yeah. Yes. Is there a fucking is there an MS-13 guy? Is there an MS-13 guy that takes his dudes down to the basement? And is like, look at my RPGs. I mean, I am sure that there are illegal arms all over the United States that are cached, right? Because. Why not? Right? Why not? Like the reality is, if I found that stuff, it would be safer if I had it than if the fucking U.S. government had it. Right?
Do you remember hearing about a terrorist training camp?
Yeah.
But that's like an hour here.
But that's right up there with kiddie porn. Right? They literally all they would have had to do was label James Yeager as a terrorist training camp, and people would be talking about it's
right.
It's just a catchphrase that they use.
Well, these were supposed to have all been Middle Eastern people.
Did you ever see the video of the place?
No.
Yeah, they actually had a video of the place. There was nothing there to be worried about. Like there was nothing. What it was a bunch of fucking Middle Easterns that wanted to really oppress and keep their women under fucking wraps. Is all it was. It wasn't a
So it was like they're living in an encampment under Sharia law.
Yeah,
like
that's
over in
all.
El Cajon.
That's all it was. It was just some bullshit.
Well, I say that to say, Bear said, and Bear doesn't like put shit out there, right? Like he's gonna go get eyes on it and shit.
Right.
Like Bob, I'm like, hey Bob, Springfield, Ohio, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. He's like, I'll let you know. I'm gonna drive over there. It's 35 minutes. I'm like, what'd you see? He goes, I didn't see anybody looks like they're from the fucking area. There's definitely a lot of people there not from there. But Bear said a month or two ago, he said, there's 200 Pakistanis running around the hills out here. The sheriff is aware of it. Nothing's being, like, the sheriff's asking for assistance. Let's investigate this shit. And nobody's doing shit about it. But there's 200 fucking Pakistani military-age men doing military training 30 minutes from here. And then Pastor Joe Fox out of Arkansas, he said the same fucking thing just the other day.
Again, I don't want to question Bear, but the reality is, if you wanted to pass a law,
correct, yep,
that said you could no longer do militia training, that's how you do it. You do it by scaring everybody into thinking that there's a bunch of fucking, like, the reality, again, people don't understand the metrics of how big the United States is. I could put 1,000 the best trained North Korean fucking troops on the planet. Like, we could handpick 1,000 of the best, the fucking elitist goddamn communist trained forces in the world, drop them anywhere in the United States, and tell them, go fucking apeshit. They wouldn't last a week. Their asses would get ate the fuck up. Like, you could drop them into Compton, the gangs would take care of them. They wouldn't last a week. It's one of those things where we keep trying to, this military, they're coming across the border in droves, and that's all military. It's all bullshit. They won't last a goddamn week. Now, could you create a organization, a sabotage organization that was going to go around the United States and interrupt infrastructure? You could.
Well, I think I think it's happening.
It would be such localized and so minute.
So everybody's saying
matter.
October 7th.
October 7th
is the magic number, right? Because that's the anniversary of when they flew the hang gliders, the paragliders into Israel.
October 7th, yeah.
And then on the 8th is the Prophet Muhammad's birthday. Yeah. So they're saying, hey, do what you're going to do, but maybe stay out of mass crowds, right? Don't be at ball games. Don't be at Disneyland, shit like that on those dates.
I don't, again, I would be more inclined, if, for example, I don't know, whatever, a fucking baseball stadium got hit with something and a bunch of people got killed. I would be more inclined to look right at the fucking federal government than I would be to look at Iran. We have been trying to pick a fucking fight with Iran for almost a year.
So false flag.
Yeah, almost a year we've been trying to pick a fight. Right now we have a very large chunk of the current U.S. Navy to include nuclear submarines, which doesn't make any sense. Over there, literally, if I want you to think about this, if the Iranian Navy were to come to the United States and park off the coast.
I'm with you, buddy.
Off the coast of San Diego, and just park there and wave flags, and what do you think we would do? Right? It would be
currently nothing.
It would be considered an act of hostility. We have parked a good chunk of the U.S. military over there, directly next to fucking Iran, to try and pick a fight.
Did you see the Russian bomber that came into Alaska?
Yeah, that happens all the time now.
Correct. New one. Something different that hasn't been here. Apparently had a fighter escort with it.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it. But it happens a lot more than you think. Because when Joe Rogan was making fun of, what's her name? The governor from Alaska, former governor who was running for president?
Palin.
I actually
Palin.
I thought she said some good shit.
She did, but Joe Rogan made fun of her about her talking about if the Russians are going to attack, we're going to know it before anybody else because we look right at them. And he made fun of her for saying that, but that's because Joe Rogan was ignorant on the fact of the proximity of Alaska and Russia.
It's actually very close. It's where they filmed that. It's where they filmed the king crab fishing stuff. It's right there in that strait. 7 dudes came ashore in Alaska from Russia. Super high sea state, like fucking treacherous.
Well, Alaska used to, what most people don't know,
they were
Alaska
defecting, is what they
used
were doing.
to belong to Russia. So, again, all our early warnings.
They're trying to push that. Like, if we let Russia take over Ukraine, they're going to take over Alaska next. That was one of the talking points of one of the.
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen.
They don't. Heads there.
The reality is the Russians don't want Alaska. Why would you want more frozen ground? Chinese might want it, but the Russians won't. But what I'm saying is, all our early warning solstice systems are set up to monitor that part of the world because that is the quickest way for Russia to get to the United States is through that, is over Siberia, through Alaska, down to the United States. That's the way they're going to come. They're not going to come via San Diego or fucking New York City. They're going to come that way. So,
a lot of that infrastructure is still in place. Like we had about the Nike missile system. We had other missile systems, even staged. I think there's one in Chattanooga. There's one in Texas. There's a bunch of them, and then there's some antenna arrays. They're still standing, but none of the rockets. Like they're all shut down, right? They're just abandoned bases. But they only went active for like 8 years, and then all of a sudden the technology changed.
Yeah, technology changed so rapidly that.
Like you can go see them. They're still there. Yeah. Like they're selling those.
I mean, the reality is, you can buy some of them. You could live in one. I wouldn't want to live in one.
It's still, that motherfucker's still targeted.
Because the Russians are antiquated, so they're just like,
do it anyways.
Blow all them up anyways. It don't matter.
Yeah.
Right. They got enough missiles, so it doesn't matter. Right. We're picking a fight. We are picking a fight with Iran, and we're standing over Iran like this. We can't start the fight, and so we got our little brother Israel over there, just poking him because would we come to little Israel's defense if Iran attacked Israel? Of course we would. Because we're picking a fight. The whole point of all this shit is to go to war.
Well, they killed Israel. I thought Israel announced we are declaring war on Iran and
I don't know if they did or not.
And Lebanon. And they killed some of the head leaders of Hezbollah, I guess.
Yeah.
And they even came out and said, yes, they killed him. Our guy's dead. And they've killed like the top 14. They've targeted these guys.
Mind you, this was all about Palestine.
Which is, for the most part, gone now.
Done. Right? This is, I mean, you can say what you want. This is Israel warmongering. They are warmongering.
So then I heard a couple nights ago, they've declared war and they have reconnaissance teams moving forward and putting together target packages, Israeli SF or whoever, which means us probably. And then all of a sudden you hear yesterday hypersonic missiles coming from Iran into Israel. And dude, when you looked at the fucking target map, holy shit, all of it was overlapping. Everything was red on there where those targets. And then they said the Iron Dome, it caught a lot of them, but it didn't catch a lot of them. A lot of shit got through. They could not stop these these missiles were.
It's not that. The key to
overwhelm.
Yeah, the key is always to overwhelm the thing. It's like bulletproof glass in a limousine, right? Or a bulletproof glass in anything. Yeah, it'll stop a bullet. It won't stop 100.
I guess Iran said, hey, we're going to bomb the shit out of you in 6 hours. Get your civilians out, whatever. I mean, apparently Israel does the same thing. I've seen video of Israel. They launch a piece of ordnance first that hits the building. That's called a knock bomb. Mm-hmm. And it literally has, 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to evacuate. We're going to blow this building up in 2 minutes. And you see these people rushing out and leaving their home.
Do you get the irony of that? Do you get the irony of it?
Tell me.
Well, the irony is this. If a building is full of terrorists, you just blow the building up.
Yeah.
If it's just a building you want to blow up, you do a knock bomb?
Right, I got you. They say they say that like Hezbollah in Lebanon, for instance, is so few and far between, right? Let's say there's 16,000 altogether, I think is what it was. And they wiped out in the first wave, like they've killed fucking 4,000 of them with the pagers or whatever.
Right.
But they're putting those ordnance, or people are harboring those people because they're family members most likely, in schools, in hospitals.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, same thing you saw overseas. Same thing.
I'm not. I mean, the reality is, you know, you have to look at both sides of it. So like when the Palestinians are like, oh my God, they blew up a fucking hospital. For the most part, I will say that Israel is operating the same way everybody else operates, except in the United States. Even if the reality is, even for American troops, even if that hospital, if it was an active hospital, so literally patients and doctors and people in there, and they were storing weapons and terrorists underneath the building, we wouldn't be able to fucking target it with a bomb. Ninjas would probably have to go in there, maybe, but we wouldn't be able to target it like that. But again, Israel doesn't have the same force structure as we do, so they don't have the I don't want to say they don't have the capability. They always have the capability, but they don't have the same force structure. They rely a lot. They're very heavy on reservists.
Yeah, they called them up.
Yeah,
even U.S. citizens.
They're very heavy on reservists. So it's a little bit different. It's a lot different than the way we operate. Because like when we call up our reserves, it's usually, you know, air conditioning repair guys, fucking truck mechanics. It's usually an echelon level that is not necessary to complete the combat operations. When Israeli calls in their reserves, they're calling in fucking tankers and riflemen and goddamn ninjas and all. They're calling in a bunch of dudes who aren't full time.
They don't even live in the country.
Not to say that they're not capable, but again, a full time military is always going to be more capable than so you have kind of limited ability of what you can accomplish. So, you know, maybe sometimes you have to drop a bomb on a goddamn hospital that is harboring terrorists. What are you going to do? You can't. I mean, I don't know the answer to it from a Israeli perspective. From a U.S. perspective, that's why we have Navy SEALs and fucking Delta Force and all these. I mean, we'd still go in there. We'd still go in there and blow up a bunch of shit, but we wouldn't fucking drop a 1,000-pound bomb on the hospital.
Does Israel not have a special operations program?
They do, but again, you have to remember, Israel's small. Like that's kind of the thing that a lot of people don't understand is, you know, Israel's small. We have more people. I guarantee you that the United States of America has more. Let me think of it. What would be an obtruse MOS? We probably have more guys trained in air conditioning repair. We'll just say air conditioning repair and fucking I don't know, motor T, than they have in their entire military service. It's small. I mean, when they put 300,000 dudes in uniform, that's everybody. Like they're not fucking. There's no reserve. There's no, you know, that's everybody. So it's small. So when you start thinking about that, when you can't, it's very hard to compare. It's very hard to compare the United States against anywhere else because no one comes close. Like people always talk about the Chinese and their motherfucking aircraft carriers. They got two.
Well, they're shorter a nuclear submarine right now.
Yeah, they got two.
They just had one sink in harbor.
Yeah, we have 11.
Yeah, didn't one of their aircraft carrier, one of the Chinese aircraft carriers is a Russian gambling ship. It was a casino ship.
Yeah, it was a Russian aircraft carrier. So there was some sort of weird arms embargo kind of thing when it comes to the aircraft carrier. It was a Russian ship. It's an old Russian aircraft carrier.
Has a ramp on it, right?
Yeah.
And didn't it sink or something? Didn't Russia?
It caught fire. Yeah.
Russia had a brand new
and theirs is terrible,
cutting edge, and like the United States had to fucking rescue their seamen.
Yeah, it's terrible. Their aircraft carrier is terrible. But anyway, so this aircraft carrier was bought by a Chinese corporation and was going to be turned into a casino.
Got it. Okay.
Well, that's just that's how, when you want to, it's like me, it's like me going, yeah, I'm gonna get this M1 Abrams and turn it into a Mardi Gras parade float, and them going, okay, Mardi Gras parade float, that's not a weapon of mass destruction. Okay, you can have the M1 Abrams. that's all they did. That's all the Chinese did, and then they refitted it and put it out to sea, and it's a piece of shit. Like, it's a piece of, literally, the Japanese have a helicopter carrier ship. They have a LHA like we have, right? That LHA with its F-35s will take both those fucking carriers out, lickety split. It's a piece of, that's the thing. People just don't understand. People don't understand the technology advantage we have over everybody and the sheer manpower.
Didn't Japan just flex on China somehow recently? Didn't something happen?
I don't know if Japan did something recently, but Japan is always flexing on China because the issue is the South China Sea. The Chinese believe that they own it all, and the Japanese are like, no, we don't believe you own it all. So those guys are always flexing. I mean, if we get, the reality is, it's my personal opinion, if we get in a war with China over Taiwan, it's going to be at the behest of the Japanese. Not that the Japanese need our protection, but the Japanese are not going to sit in port while the Chinese attack Taiwan. If the Chinese attack Taiwan, Japan will go and punch them right in the fucking face. And then the Chinese will probably fire rockets at Japan because Japan is in range. And then the United States will be like, boop, 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 come to save our ally. I mean, it's kind of what we do now. What we do is we find...
React?
No, we find other countries to pick the war we want to fight in. Right? That's it. That's all Zelensky is. We wanted to fight the Russians.
You keep hearing Zelensky asking permission to use those long-range rocket systems, right? What that really means is because they need our satellites. Like, those rockets don't just fucking fly themselves. They need access to our fucking satellites so that those rockets will work.
They already have that access.
They do?
Yeah. That's how they've been so successful on the ground. They already have the access to to all the tactical advantages that a modern army would have. But the Department of Defense, as much as I hate those motherfuckers, they are holding his collar. They are holding his collar.
Did you see he was just here?
Yeah, of course, because he wants money.
So he met with the White House?
He had to visit his place down in Florida.
And then went straight to Trump.
Yeah.
He had a meeting with Trump. Did you watch any of the debates last night?
Just the part where Vance was kicking his ass.
Oh, that was every part.
Yeah, I know.
Like all of it.
I recently went on a trip. I went down to Georgia. And I thought to myself, I went down to Atlanta and shit. And I thought to myself, hey, I'm going to see. I just, because I have this feeling. That Trump it's not even close. That I didn't see one fucking sign for Harrison Biden.
No, you don't anywhere.
Not one.
You don't fucking anywhere.
And if I was looking,
you see one here and there, and there's a Prius in the driveway. There's some crazy shit.
I expected when I went through Atlanta that I was going to see some shit.
Dude, you don't see stickers on cars. If you see stickers on a car, the person's in costume.
Nothing.
Like they are dressed as a cartoon character.
And I saw Trump signs where I was like,
dude, you go in the fucking hood.
That shouldn't be here.
Yeah, like all these man on the ground things, and like they're trying. Yeah. They are trying to find like black folks voting for Trump, Mexicans voting for Trump. All you have is crazy fucking like whack jobs, like the whack jobs. And there's a dude doing man on the ground shit, and he's like, who are you voting for? Trump, Trump, Trump. And then dude comes past, he's like, fuck you. He goes, oh, we know who he's voting for. And the dude comes running up, and he's wearing, like, dude. He comes up like he's going to hit. He goes, are you going to hit me? He goes, I'll fucking destroy you right now. And the dude's, like, got a half shirt on, and he's got a rainbow flag. Like, it.
I saw this picture of just this morning. You just reminded me about that. It's Only Marines. It's this, I mean, yoked, black Marine. He's not in uniform. He's just wearing a t-shirt that that says Marines on it. So maybe he wasn't even in the Marine Corps, but he's got this dude on the ground with his hand on his throat, right? His hand on his throat. And it's a selfie picture, right? It's that selfie picture like this. And it was like, only Marine would take a selfie of a purse snatcher.
Of a purse snatcher.
It was awesome though. Cause he's just like, what's up? Good.
So you got 40 days till the election.
Yeah, 40 days.
I heard something interesting today. Vivek was on.
And you know, the crazy thing is that's a long time. It's not long.
Sure, all you need is a terrorist incident to fucking.
It's not a long time.
To usher in some more fucking Patriot
maybe,
Act or suspend election.
Or maybe one of those destroyers gets sunk. And we go to actual world war with the Iranians and the Russians and the Chinese, and War Power Act gets ensued. There's no election. Biden is already dead, so Harris becomes president.
So if that happens, what do you think the population's going to do? Like, there's talk everywhere. What if Trump loses? Nobody thinks Trump's losing.
It depends on.
Rogan's even talking about it.
Yeah, but I think that's the truth of the matter is I think that's the propaganda of it all. I think it's the propaganda of the mainstream media that is trying to convince people that Harris is in the fight. But the reality is, if you really just take a deep breath, forget about what the Democratic Party's saying, and look at facts, she's not close.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, she's not close. So,
like they thought they had some like they keep saying insurrection on the 6th.
Well, I don't think you would have to.
And they're already voting. Like they have people voting right now.
You would have to think that there has to be something else. It's not going to be. We're not going to get to November.
So you got to have a pandemic with it.
Yeah, we're not going to get to November, and they're going to be like, "Oh, guess what? Trump got 80 million votes, and she got 81 million votes." That's not going to happen again. There has to be, in order for them to stay in power.
When do you think they're going to announce they've got a biologic loose in Atlanta? Right now, so they have a bio lab of some sort, and I haven't heard what it was. But there's a chemical fire at the bio lab, and it's burnt for days. Apparently, It's still going, and like you said, it's not just black smoke. There's all kinds of colors coming out of there.
There's all kinds of colors coming out of there. It's pretty wicked. And the funny thing is, they're like there's been no real.
There's not a lot of. There's little reportings on it, but nothing big, right? Everything's watch this.
When you think about even the government, there hasn't been any real like hazardous information. Like I saw a thing this morning where they were talking about it, and they're like, well, if you feel like you're not safe, then maybe you should stay indoors. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean if I feel like I'm not safe?
Well, they were telling people to tape their windows and
shit. What kind of fucking government? The reality is, if the government cannot do anything to help you, then the government shouldn't exist. Fuck it. Let's go anarchy. I think the damn anarchists would probably do a better job at taking care of this shit.
Anarchy doesn't mean lighting fires and bashing people with skateboards.
That's just federal. That's federal informants.
Oh, gotcha.
Just federal informants do that.
Vivek Ramaswamy said shut down 50% of the government on day 1 and 50% on day 2. I heard him say something yesterday that was pretty interesting. He said, the only illegals that the Democrats are interested in are criminals. And he said, let me explain that to you, because all these people coming across the border are coming across the border illegally. They are already committed a crime to get here. The only voters they want are illegal migrant voters, because they already committed a crime by checking, yes, I'm a refugee and I'm in fear for my life, and they've come across the border illegally. And that's who they're targeting, and that's who they're registering to vote. You have DMVs all over the United States right now where there are citizens there, and they're like, this is an illegal alien. They just gave this guy a driver's license and registered him to vote, and he is not a fucking resident of the United States. And they're calling police, they're calling sheriffs, the police are showing up. So you're seeing some of this footage come out where the cops are like, hey, what the fuck? This is illegal. And then you've got how many have just, is it just happened, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this about the Democratic Party. It's not the vote they're pandering for. I don't believe it is the vote they're pandering for, because it's not a.
Well, it's that college. It's the electoral changing.
It's not the vote that they're pandering for. I want you to think about this. The Democratic Party is, the truth of the matter is, the Democratic Party has never left the South, and they are still slave masters and slave owners. What they are looking for is the individuals who will most likely be on government assistance and require more government.
Right, and that's currently the voters. When you hear black folks, it's not black folks. It's fucking welfare folks. Mm-hmm. It's the fucking people on the handout that won't work.
Well, yeah, that's my thing. Is the Democratic Party just slave owners?
Larry Elders has some fucking, like, dude, he just shoots those facts out. He's got that shit memorized, and he's like, you know, you take, because he was a judge, right? So he was talking about cases that had come before him, and he says, you know, we incentivize these girls to not have the same dad, not have the father present. When they get government subsidized housing, the man is not allowed to be there. He's not even allowed to be there. They have security to keep dudes out of there. And you have these females that have 6, 8, 10 kids, and she gets, you know, $1,000 a kid, fucking racks it up, and then they're running around with no dads. And then who's your criminals? Who's filling the jail system? Who's your slave labor making 14 cents a day in the federal prison system? That's those guys.
Do they even make license plates in jail anymore?
They do. Yeah, I think that's more of a state level. We had, I don't remember what ours was, but we were building, I never worked in the factory. I strung tennis rackets. Oh. I maintained the tennis court. But they were making wall lockers. Some will make signs. There's factories that make pencils. When we went up, I think you went with me to Nico. I go, what the fuck is all this? He goes, 635 sewing machines. I go, what are you going to do with them? He said, I'm going to scrap them. I go, what? He goes, several prisons had shut down their sewing. These are the sewing machines. I go, well, why do you have them? He goes, because I wanted these 6. He goes, I got it for, it was like $6,000. He got all of these sewing machines plus the 6 he wanted. He goes, I'm going to scrap these,
make my money
and
back,
double my money on this, and I've got these machines that we wanted. Yeah. It's insane, man.
Well, the only reason why.
So the deal was, I think it was 43 cents a day is what they were paying these guys. But under GSA schedule, if you're a government or federal agency, you have to buy on GSA schedule. So they buy these wall lockers, and they're charging way above market rate on these wall lockers to GSA, and that money just stays in that ecosystem. Whereas if you went out to Office Depot, you could order the same locker for 25% the cost that they're selling it to the government for.
Yeah, they do that with everything. That's why when you go to ServMart on base, the pencils are so expensive. Mm-hmm. But the only reason why I asked that is because when I was in, I don't know why I just noticed this in Georgia, but the plates aren't pressed anymore. They're printed.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
you're
they're
right.
Printed.
They're not
here
pressed
too.
anymore.
That's here too. But I mean, even I know we had a sign factory there in Lompoc that was doing street signs and shit, and those weren't pressed either. Yeah. So what do you think's going to, so 40 days?
40 days.
Are we going to have an election or are we not going to have an election?
We're having an election.
Is Trump going to win? Is Trump not going to win?
Trump.
And they're going to let him
my opinion is it's over at 10 o'clock. That she's going to have like.
Oh, I think it was fucking over last night listening to her fucking.
It's over at 10 o'clock.
Dude, everything that dude said was Trump, Trump, Trump. And Vance would just be like, you're right about this. And he would always compliment him. And then go, but surely you agree. And then boom, 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 boom. And just fucking. And they were cutting the mics off and everything.
They have no policy. There's no policy. They have no idea of what they're doing. I mean, again, I'm going to go back to, what's his name? Not Vance.
Tampon Tim.
Yeah, Tampon Tim. I'm going to go back to him. The Democratic Party got 1 vote.
Dude, even the moderators asked him, you said you were at Tiananmen Square when the tank ran over the guy. And he's like, well, it was for the good. I weave these stories, and then I take all these students to these places. And, I'm just a knucklehead. And I've said some things, that, that weren't exactly correct.
But I mean, the way I look at it is the Harris, the Democratic Party got his vote, right? They're like, you're going to be the vice president. He's like, woohoo, I'm going to vote for the Democratic Party. And Trump got his entire family.
Yeah.
Like, there's no fucking way, there is no possible scenario where the Democrats win this election. No possible scenario.
Okay, so Longshoremen are shut down. They're on strike. That actually happened. I'm like, there's no way they're going to let that happen. They were talking about this shit 2 years ago. Same thing. Oh, my God, it's going to be catastrophic when UPS shuts down. UPS, they gave UPS what they wanted. They gave the drivers a raise. Like, we talked to our UPS drivers. He's like, yeah, they're putting heat shields under, because they have no air conditioning in those fucking trucks. He drives around with a fan. He's like, yeah, they're putting heat shields under here. That should help. They're going to update some of these trucks. And then, whatever the raise was. Now, the Longshoremen, they offered them 50% raise, and they said, no, piss off. They want 70%. And they're talking about automation. Now, I started seeing videos this morning, guys were putting up and goes, this is what we're on strike over. And they're showing all the entry points to all these places. They're like, nobody's here. But the shipyard's still running. These are automated robots, and that's what's running everything.
Yeah, they made 4 times more. They made 4 times more than, who's Elon's arch nemesis?
Amazon.
They made 4 times the amount that Amazon made last year at the port. One CFO took $4 billion out as a Christmas bonus just for himself and his family. So they make a lot of money, and yes.
So why do you think pissed off fucking blue collar dudes don't make those guys' lives hard?
Well, because here's the thing:
surely a man with a rifle could touch that guy.
Yeah, but the reality is, a longshoreman job. So those are. I know my longshoremen are going to be mad. It's like a mob job in the sense of.
Well, I mean, their spokesperson clearly is a mob
guy. But
it's
like a mob job in the sense of you're invited to become a longshoreman, and the benefits involved, and the work schedule, and like it's a
pretty cush job.
It's like working for Ken. It's like being here and then getting called up to the majors and being able to work at Kenmore over here, right? You don't have to work at fucking 7-Eleven anymore. It's a good cush job.
Yeah, in this town they call them DNA jobs because you have to have an uncle or your dad has to work there.
It's a good cush job.
So Ted, we know a man named Ted, and he said, because he retired from Kenmore's, but he's still on the board or something over there, and he said, we're pulling kids straight out of high school and putting them into an 18-month program, and as soon as they graduate, we start them at 70,000, and within 18 months, they're at, I think he said 120,000. If they just go through the trade program, and they actually pass their tests and shit.
So
now that's a huge job for this town. That's a huge pay rate for this town.
But the truth is that's the thing. The truth is they're looking to automate all these ports, and I would look at it this way. Okay, all jobs have the capability of going the way of the buggy whip, right? They all have there's always a bit of automation that could fucking get rid of people's jobs.
Well, John Pugliano and Jack Spirko have been talking about this for 3 or 4 years. Look at the kiosks at McDonald's,
To a certain extent, that all jobs have the capability of being fucking eradicated by automation. Now, if in fact they automated the ports and the price to ship everything went down to nothing, a third.
But
right?
That'll never be passed.
But it's not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to happen. They're going to keep charging the same amount that they're charging now because they're billionaires and they want to stay billionaires.
Yeah, the price never goes down.
The price never goes down. Well, it does on certain things.
Gasoline and commodities that they manipulate.
Yeah, so, but what I'm saying is...
when gas goes down, my fucking shipping fee never goes down. I'm still paying. I was getting COVID surcharges and gas taxes. I get all,
but what I'm saying is, to a certain extent, modernization has the ability of making things more prevalently available and cheaper for everyone. So, longshoremen, you may not have a job in the future, but if they continue to do it the way they're doing it, you're going to be paying the same prices as if they weren't paying employees, and that's just fucking bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. And I get why they're striking.
You ever heard of McDonald's closing down, constricting?
Yeah, and they've been constricting in California actually.
Yeah, over that $20 minimum wage. So that's what's going on there. They're closing. Hooters is shutting down.
But I mean that business model's kind of
it's old. Yeah, it's
1980s.
Old. Yeah, I mean you can't still wear leg warmers and jazzercise shit. Yeah, I don't know what they wear. I haven't been in 20 years,
that's what I'm saying. It's a 1980s business model, so it's.
But there's a bunch of places closing down. I just saw a thread in the local thing talking about how McDonald's fucks up all your orders and it takes 40 minutes to get your food when they fuck your shit up, and they ask you to pull forward and it takes 15 minutes, and everybody complaining about McDonald's. And I'm thinking, man, what are these guys going to do when these fucking fast food restaurants close down? Because seemingly some of them are closing down, even in this town. There's not anything new coming in fast food. They're shutting down, and the biggest fucking complaint every day is, about some other people's shit that doesn't involve you or fast food. Always.
Yeah, I don't know. We're on it. The world is falling apart.
Okay, so you think we're going to have an election? You think Trump's going to win?
Trump's winning, yep.
Everybody gets a Dolphin.
Everybody in southern Florida gets a Dolphin.
Did you see 20 years ago? It's more than that, right? Over 20 years ago, whale washes ashore.
Uh-huh.
And
they blow it up?
RFK cuts the head off this whale with a chainsaw, straps it to his car, takes the whale head home. Do you know that fucking NASA, the Center for Oceanography or whatever right now, has a fucking federal official investigation launched against RFK over this fucking whale's head, the dead whale that he took the head off of? Do you know this?
It doesn't surprise me.
No, it doesn't at all.
It doesn't surprise me because
Do you know that most of the oceanography stuff actually falls under NASA? There's a department of NASA that has something with oceanography in it, and as they can go out and prove that this land 800 miles away is connected to your shore, you can now claim that international water. And the United States has claimed a ton of international water apparently recently, that has a lot of other countries like very upset about this.
I don't see how you can. I mean, whatever. The issue with RFK is it has really to do with using the full force of the full might of the federal government against your political opponents, because they have no real policies and they have no real ideas on how to run the world, and so all they can do is fucking attempt to derail you through fucking litigation. That's all. That's all it is. It's just fucking.
Oh, I'm 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, dude, you used to see shit all over the place that you just don't see anymore. Like I remember, like if you go to an ocean town, and you just go down Coast Highway or whatever, you will see whale bones. You'll see a whale's fucking skull just as part of the artwork in somebody's front yard, right? You would see. Remember, you used to go. Do you ever remember going to seashell stores? You know those don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Like they used to have seashell stores at the zoo. You could go to SeaWorld and buy seashells, all kinds of shit. And it's a big fucking taboo thing now. I remember seeing whale bailing like in every fucking school classroom as a young kid. There was whales bailing.
I remember that too.
And just, shit that your child will never see. Just like us as a kid, like you could go to any circus and you knew you were going to see a lion and a lion tamer, and you were going to see elephants, and you were going to see all these fucking big animals, right? You will never, like kids being born right now, short of the elephants that are still in the zoos, those kids will never see a fucking elephant again. Not up close like that.
No. I mean, it is. Well, you never know. You don't know what the future holds.
True.
Because the reality is there's more fucking tigers in Texas than there are in the rest of the world.
Entire rest of the world.
So you don't know what the world holds for us. Maybe because we have this level of insanity that's going on in the United States right now, and maybe in the future cooler heads will prevail,
or maybe it's actually Planet of the Apes happens. It was in The Simpsons.
Well, I mean, if the apes take over, they take over. That's our loss. But it's not going to happen.
Wasn't that the premise of Planet of the Apes? The apes took over and humans were their slaves?
Yes. Yeah, that's why it was a big deal when one of them was speaking.
What?
So when not Chuck Norris, it's,
oh,
should
you
have been
mean
Chuck
in the
Norris.
movies?
Yeah, in the movies, it's a big deal when a human
Caesar.
speaks.
Yeah, I thought the Planet of the Apes movies were actually okay.
Yeah,
They're entertaining for
that's
sure.
That's why I said a week ago when those astronauts are stuck in space, we should all get monkey suits and go hang out
Gotcha.
where the spaceship comes back because they have no idea.
Right. So what's
that? Almost seems like something that Elon would do just to be funny.
Elon's been doing some pretty funny shit.
Yeah. Oh, I love the way he pokes at Gavin Newsom because that Gavin Newsom is such a fucking weak bitch.
New scum. He actually posts. He fucking types it out.
Bitch.
Yeah.
And it's just the weakness. The reality is, it's just the entire weakness of the Democrat Party. They can't handle sarcasm. The fuck the Democratic Party.
Banned memes.
Yeah, fuck the Democratic Party. You know what?
I want to see them enforce that. I want to see how that goes the first time.
Yeah, it's going to be a freedom of speech issue. It's going to go into that's the thing.
But they're going to ruin somebody's life over it.
No. They're going to fucking.
He wants to go the way Canada would.
Fucking, they're going to go. The fight that is happening is between him and Musk. And it'll be a Musk thing in court that will go up. And unfortunately for Gavin Newsom, is freedom of speech is an important thing within the United States, and it's going to get thrown out. And it's just like all their gun laws.
Well, you have John Kerry. There's some video going around this morning, yesterday, today.
Who's totally irrelevant.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But he's saying, it's really difficult to govern because of all the misinformation on social media. And we need to basically, like, he fucking stopped. He didn't say the words, but he said we need to remove the First Amendment. And then you got this sheriff in Okeechobee, Florida, who has actually been removed of duty for suspending Second Amendment, said no sales of firearms, no sales of ammunition, and no physical, you can't be carrying any gun. On your property, not on your property, disarm. And dude, the gun YouTubers got onto it really fast, like all your Second Amendment channels and stuff. And apparently, like, that dude's he's suspended or whatever has happened currently.
Yeah, I mean, all things. Every time man says you can or you can't, it's your ability to enforce that matters. And if you don't have the capability,
well, that's what you've always said. That's the whole thing, right? Where did you have lockdowns? Every mayor said lockdowns.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not the law enforcement was willing to enforce it, because the mayor ain't going to be out there fucking enforcing that shit.
Do you think you take a look at a state like California, right? California is it's two steps away from being part of the Chinese Republic, right? As far as the government is concerned. So when the government of California locked the state of California down, the biggest county within fucking California said, fuck off, we're not doing it. They didn't do it.
Was that Temecula?
San Bernardino County.
Yeah.
San Bernardino County said, fuck off. The sheriff was like, fuck you, you don't have that authority. So it's your ability to enforce. Did Gavin Newsom get the National Guard to go into San Bernardino County and close San Bernardino County down? No, he didn't, because he knew two things.
They weren't going to do it.
One, it would have been very bad optics, and two, they didn't really need to close anything down. Right? When you're going to wine,
video of him running around.
When you're going to wine parties, you can't really be like, hey, everybody else should fucking stay in their house. Fuck those guys. The Democratic Party is it really should be burnt to the ground. It really should be burnt to the ground.
Think that's coming?
No, I don't think that's coming, because you have this psychosis on the Democratic Party side that they really believe the bullshit that they're telling everybody.
Do they really? You think they really believe that?
I do really believe. You have the
I don't think they really believe it.
You have the grandfather. What's his name? God, I can't think of his name now. Al Gore. You have the grandfather of climate change come out and say it's all bullshit. Like, he has come out and been like, yeah, it was just a way to fucking move money around. They still believe that what they're doing is real. It's ridiculous. I heard a little thing on NPR. I was just flipping through radio channels and I stopped on NPR, and I listened to these bitches on NPR talking about carbon footprint and what what you can do to reduce your carbon footprint. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's
do you
all
really,
about taxes.
do you really hear what you're saying? Do you really understand what you're saying? What you're saying it's not only is not real, but you're not doing anything. You're not fucking you're not doing a goddamn thing.
So not Klaus Schwab. Who's the other villain?
I don't know. Anybody that has a D in front of their party name.
Who's the dude that the Nazis? He went and worked as tax collector.
Yeah. I can't think of his name. He's Soros.
George Soros just bought 200 terrestrial radio stations, which is a very weird thing, because terrestrial radio is dying. It's just disappearing, right? Your channels are off airing all the time. But he bought 200. Now, why would he do that? Well, what's on terrestrial radio? Your Patriots are on there. Your all your talk show stuff is still there from the right side, and that's why he's buying that shit.
Yeah, you want to spread propaganda.
Yeah, that's exactly why he's buying it.
Because they are the ministry of propaganda. That they might as well just start wearing those.
Yeah, you think you're going to take old men with fucking Vietnam hats on, listening to AM radio, and you're going to fucking broadcast some liberal shit? You think that's going to go? I think it's more about taking them off the air.
It could be. It could be about more taking off the air. But the problem is when you look at the world from those eyes. Like I would say this, Kerry is a little more realistic. Like for Soros to buy 200 fucking radio stations that nobody listens to really anymore.
Well, we don't know what he bought.
But anyways, to buy those radio stations,
because
even you think about
this, right? Remember American Survival Guide, Soldier of Fortune, Backwoods Home Magazine, right? After Y2K, they had extended so much credit to run ads for these companies, and when Y2K didn't happen, most of these companies were so overextended that they went out of business, right? So that brand or that publishing company, whoever that was in financial trouble. Well, who bought them? Nabisco bought them. And Nabisco shut most of those magazines down.
Because, again, the reality is magazine print was a dead art anyways.
Yeah, but I mean, it was dwindling, right? But it was still
dying.
It was still, we would go to a bookstore. We'd go to Walmart, and you had a whole area of magazines, right?
And we never bought those magazines.
I did.
Well, you bought them because your ad was in them.
Like I would flip through them and look through them. I was terrible with that, buying 20 magazines I never opened and looked at all the time. Just one day I might read them. But yeah, the computer was around, but I mean, it wasn't in the palm of your hand at the time.
Yeah, but again, print media. It's like if you decided, let's just say John Willis is a fucking billionaire, and he decides he wants to influence how the world thinks, and the way he does it, he's like, I'm gonna buy newspapers. It's dead. It's like
I actually would like to have a printing press.
It's like saying let's buy cable TV. Cable TV's dead. Like the fucking reality is Netflix and all, even though Netflix is kind of almost dead too, is these things have killed those industries and people are not getting their information that way. People aren't. The reality is, I guarantee you, if we here at this event, and this is a weird event.
Self-Reliance Festival.
This is a weird event. But if we ask anybody under the age of 35 what AM radio station they listen to, they probably won't even know what fucking AM radio is. People are getting all their information from more modern sources. So, like John Kerry's correct. It's those modern sources that you have to attack with your propaganda in order to influence how the world thinks. I do not need, so that you have to use the Nazi model, and that's what they're doing. They're using the German Nazi model.
Goebbels.
I don't need to influence a 55-year-old. I don't need to influence him. Well, I don't need to change his mind.
That's what your liberals are doing with the fucking...
Well, that's why all the colleges have fallen apart.
The transgender shit and children.
Because they were trying to influence
So Robbie, you know who Robbie Starbucks is? He's the guy that's busted out Tractor Supply, right? Tractor Supply's whole unraveling. That was Robbie Starbucks. And then he found Caterpillar was doing the same thing. John Deere, Harley Davidson. It's fucking wild. Like these iconic American brands that used to have the Marlboro Man, like a dude smoking a cigarette, and Elvis Presley, and like any of those fucking iconic men like would be attached to those companies, and now all these companies are like changing the sex on kids and cross-dresser fucking.
Well, the companies aren't doing that.
No, the people at the helm of those companies.
But the companies aren't doing that. What people.
So he got a hold of these, and they've all immediately. He's like, hey, I'm about to do this article on your company. And they removed, like, there's some governing body that you have to have these 10 things check marked, and, you know, we rate you as a gold star rating or whatever. And they're like, we're not even listing with these guys. We're sorry. We're for America.
Because what people don't understand about the way they did that was very smart.
Meanwhile, Disney's doubled down.
Yeah, because Disney's filled with wackos.
Yeah, I mean, the CEO of the company, his daughter has taken over the company or whatever, and her kid is a tranny. Like, if you look at, you got all these actresses, right? That's the new thing.
They're being groomed. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's the thing. Groomed. All these women have these. Fuck, my 2-year-old boy is really a girl.
Being groomed. They are grooming.
We were talking about that earlier. If you look at Pink, all her kids are fucking tranny kids.
But what I'm saying is the way they did it is very smart, right? When you think about DEI, when you think about those programs that everybody fell prey to, people aren't really understanding. It's not the CEOs of those companies are not coming out and going, "Hey, we support all this shit." What they're really doing is they're going, "How much money can we get? We get how much money if we check these boxes?" And they're checking those boxes. Yes, they're joining the party, right? They're joining the party. They're joining the party because they're getting a bunch of free money for joining the party. In order to be part of all that fucking money,
they're getting so much money that they're not worried about their profits and losses. Like,
well, no,
they're literally not worried about their sales.
Certain companies aren't, because you know, when you think about like Disneyland, or you think about Disney has been taking a dump for years, but because of how popular Disney used to be, they're sitting on a pile of fucking money. They're sitting on this big. They're like McDuck. They're in the fucking room with the gold coins all over the fucking place. They are taking a bath now, but they're surviving off last year's fucking when they were normal. They're surviving off of that pay. That's the only reason why Disney has not collapsed. When you take a look at fucking Harley Davidson, or when you take a look at companies that have flip-flopped, it's because, that money that they were giving us was a lot, but it's not as much as the people who come in the door every day. So they had to flip-flop.
Yeah. Even John Deere, same thing.
Yeah, they had to flip-flop because it's a bullshit. The reality is it was a trick. That's
Have you seen Am I Racist? Matt Walsh's new movie.
No, I don't need to see it to know that those people are all fucking crazy.
There's some good interviews, man. He got right in there with her too, like Abram Max Kendi or whatever. Like, she shut down all her social media over it. We were driving.
It's just a way. Again, it's just a way of stealing money.
We went to Petco by the Honda dealership in Jackson, and then I'm go drive by the movie theater. I want to see what's on the wall, right? And they actually have movie posters still up there to show you what movies are playing. And they had a Trump movie that's coming up there. They had Am I a Racist playing there. And I just found it interesting that in Jackson, those two movies were playing in that theater.
The movie that's out right now that is so fucking Democrat cringy. That's so like, I'm like, man, I am surprised that is Reagan.
Yeah, it looks like that. It looks pretty good too.
But that everything in that movie is like, you're like, holy shit, they're saying the same thing right now. They're saying the same exact shit right now. It's a pretty good movie, actually. They skip over a lot of
Reagan
some stuff they skip over, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, Reagan had the air traffic controllers about to strike.
Yeah, fire them.
Yeah, he's like, fire them. Yeah,
it's a contract. Fire them.
Yeah.
Yep.
How'd they replace them that fast?
I should know this better since I lived through it, but I want to say they brought scabs in, and then.
But where do you get a scab air traffic controller from?
Oh,
it's not like, hey, you're going down in the mine today.
You know what I think if I remember right. If I remember right now, any of you guys that are out there, you can correct this. But again, I'm sitting in here trying to remember something from fucking 40 years ago. I believe they skimmed them all out of the military.
That's what I thought. Okay, so let's go back to something fun for a minute here before we end here.
What's
Kabillionaire.
Fun? Kabillionaire. I'm a kabillionaire.
If we became kabillionaires tomorrow,
I win the lottery
at midnight tonight. Boom, you're a kabillionaire.
I win the lottery.
Your money deposits at midnight. What would you do tomorrow? How would your life be different?
Well, I would disappear first.
Yeah, I got all that shit.
Yeah, I would disappear.
What do you think I would do?
Nothing. I think you'd put a higher wall around here and fucking buy more chickens and
I'd buy all of Camden.
Yeah, probably.
I would. I'd buy all of Camden.
Put a wall around it.
Put a wall around it. Kick a bunch of people out.
Yeah, I could see you doing that.
I'd give them enough money to happily leave.
I could see you doing that.
That's exactly what we do.
Not me. No.
Yes, you.
No.
You're going to be caught inside the wall.
No. If I win that money, I'm going to do kabillionaire, mind you.
Okay, well, you don't win the money. I win the money. So you're staying, buddy.
Nope.
I'll give you a helicopter. You can fly as high as you want. You just can't leave our airspace.
My goal would be to
I'll give you a tank.
Okay, I'll stay then.
Yeah.
If I have like a M1 Abrams,
and you're in charge of building the wall, and you got to make it so a tank can't get through it.
I want a park though where there's a bunch of M1 Abrams and we can all just drive around in them. Shoot paintballs.
I want a park where we can just shoot M1 Abrams.
Well, that'd be cool too. It'd be awesome.
Just knock the turrets off.
It'd be cool as shit. You can knock the turrets off because they're not attached anyway.
Have we ever seen an M1 Abrams turret knocked off? I mean, we've seen the other tanks knocked off.
Yeah, I've seen it.
What hit it?
1,000-pound bomb.
It's not really fair. It kind of bounced off at that point.
No. So the Iraqis would use a 1,000-pound IED to take a tank out.
Got it.
And that would pop the top off of it. Because they're just held in with gravity. They're not. It's not like there's a bolt down there that holds it in there. Yeah. No, I think if I had $1 billion, I would do everything in my power to try and influence the other billionaires to create some sort of DC world. Like, I really want Elon Musk to be Batman.
You're like, bro, I got to get in the club.
Yeah, I'd be like, Elon, you really should be Batman.
What would your character be? Have to be something new.
Something new. The instigator. That's all. I would just be the instigator. I'd be the instigator, where I just tried to get Elon and Bezos
Would you always
to fight.
call Gabby? Was it Gabby or Josh? The pot stirrer.
The pot stirrer.
What'd you call him?
I can't remember.
The instigator.
The instigator. That would be who I'd be. Try and get Elon and Bezos to fight.
I don't think that'd be hard at all. I think Bezos is a pussy, and I think Elon will definitely fight.
There's an awesome cartoon that makes fun of Elon. It's a cartoon that makes fun of Elon, and it's Bezos. Bezos goes to meet Elon, and Elon's talking shit about him, and Bezos goes to meet him, and he's like, "I got you this medal." Bezos is like, "I got you this medal because I came in second place in the space race," and Elon's like, "Yeah, you did. You came in second." And he goes, "But I got it for you because we're besties." And it's just Bezos trying to be Elon's best friend, and Elon just cutting him down and shit. But it's like, he's like, "I also brought you this," and he's got a hair in his hand, and he's got his hair in his hand. And he's like, "I found it in the bathroom after I took William Shatner up in space," and he goes, "And I want to give it to you because it's space hair." And Elon's like, "That's a pube, bro."
I remember, yeah.
It's a pube, bro. It's like, oh, I want to keep it now because it's the space pube. But just hilarious.
All right, guys, that's Pulling the Thread podcast.
That's it. Pulling the Thread podcast.
And we'll do this again next week.
Next week.
Things will be back on a more normal schedule. And we've got people already showing up.
We can do Patreon tomorrow if you want.
Can I do Patreon? No, Brandon won't be here.
Oh.
All right, guys.
When are you coming back?
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. He's moving here.
Every day of my life.
The whole other building's completely insulated now. The mini split's getting dropped tomorrow, I think. The mini split gets here.
In the science lab?
Yes.
Nice. Is there going to be Bunsen burners and shit in there?
It's it's literally going to look like a fucking science lab.
I know this is very hard for you. I know it's very hard for you because you tend to use every square inch
It's not mine. It's hers.
Is your existence.
Which means it'll be full of all kinds of shit.
But you really, really should take one corner and just turn it into, you need one of those things where the electricity goes across and shit.
Dude.
And a fucking Bunsen burner.
The guy's outside. The dude that does those. I'm like, how much lightning can we make? He goes, well, we're just limited by electricity. I go, can we see it from the city, from the town? He's like, yeah, it's going to take a little more electricity. It's because it's not it's high voltage, but not high current or something, he said. Like, they make all the Burning Man shit. Like, that cool torch thing he built.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you need one corner in there that is just the Dr. Frankenstein table.
I'm with you.
Just, that's it. There's some stuff boiling.
I think it should look like
the electricity's going through that
mad
thing and
scientist / doctor.
Yeah, I think so, too.
She goes, can I have this autopsy table? I'm like, you can't have the autopsy table. She goes, we can get something else for the girls to eat on. I go, it's not there because the girls eat on it. It's there because I want the autopsy table where everybody has to walk past it because it's a child's autopsy table. She goes, but it works so good. I can just, it comes up and down and I can move it around. I go, we can get you an autopsy table.
Yeah, find her another one.
Every, not morgue, but every funeral home around here, when they get new shit, nobody really buys that. They've got a fucking storage room full of that shit.
I know you don't. I know it's out of the realm of possibility. But you know what'd be super cool?
Nothing's out of the realm of possibility.
Is if you could get the fucking, if you can get a whole morgue slider for one side of the room.
We got them. I know, right?
Where you open the door and you pull the slider out, and she could have all her stuff on there.
I know where there's.
Fucking awesome.
It's a big one. They still have the wooden doors on the outside of it, but it's a 6. I know where there's a 4 also.
That's what you need is like a 4.
And they have like the zinc-plated chiller tables that slide out.
Oh man, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, well, I know. We had a dude laying in one of them.
Yeah, it'd be cool. All right, well.
Okay, don't get yourself locked in a morgue.
Yeah, don't get
refrigerator
yourself
this weekend.
More refrigerator at night.
All right, Self-Reliance Festival. Probably too late by the time you heard this. You missed it, and we will see you guys next time.